What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Chris Collins from Chris C Speaks. Super excited to be back here with you. Look, I know it's a little crazy out here right now, right? Back in March, we thought when they start shutting schools down, we were like, we'll be ready to go in the fall. But now we got some decisions to make, right? So hopefully you and your parents are talking and you're trying to decide if you want to go virtual or if you want to go in person. Maybe you'll do a little bit in between, but that virtual thing is different. What you did in March, where it was kind of emergency mode, it's not going to work for you right now. So before you start virtual learning, I want to give you 5 things you have to do before you say, I want to go virtual. Now, with these 5 tips, I promise on everything I love that you'll be able to succeed and be the dopest version of yourself if you choose to go virtual this semester. Now, every year I try to drop a little back to school blog or whatever. You can still go check out that blog on chriscspeaks.com. It's still super relevant. Those of you guys going back to school in person, it's there for you. Got some great tips on how to bounce back if you had a rough semester last year. But let's stick to the digital thing. Number 1, you got to create a space. If you're going to do this virtual thing right, you got to create a safe space, right? You got to create a space where you can be free from distractions, where you don't have to worry about the TV being in your peripheral. You don't have to worry about your brother or your sister getting on your nerves. You don't have to worry about the distraction of the PS4 or the Xbox or whatever your favorite gaming console is, calling your name saying, please, come see me. You want to be in a position where you are distraction free. Now, maybe if you want to have a window so you have a little bit of a view, as long as that view is not to the pool that's calling you, right? You want to try to have a space that allows you to be calm, that allows you to be collected, and that also gives you a little bit of elbow room. Because even though you're going to be doing virtual learning, there's still going to be some traditional learning things that you may have to do. So you'll definitely have to take notes. So you may have a notepad, you may have a book, or you may have some other manipulatives that you need to be able to have space for on your desk or in your work area. So do yourself a favor. Create a space that's just for you. Now, I know we're not all blessed to be able to have a desk and a monitor and all those things. We may have to share spaces with adults who may be staying home or whatever it may be. Make it yours as much as you can so that when you're in that space for the next 8 hours or 7 hours or however long you're online, you can really feel comfortable and at home and you feel like it's a place where you can learn. And only you know what your distractions are, right? So make sure you try to eliminate as many of those as possible. So number 1, create a space. Now, number 2, make sure you are engaged. You got to stay engaged. This virtual thing is different, right? Like, it's weird because you could be looking at a screen and it's not that same face-to-face vibe that you get. Trust me, I had to make that adjustment on the fly this summer. I went from speaking in front of folks that are 4,300, whatever, to speaking to the camera and not being able to feel you guys' wonderful energy and wondering if you were actually laughing at my jokes. So it's weird. It's a challenge to be able to shift from that in-person vibe, the energy that you get from your teacher, even the ones that you don't really rock with, and then now you have to be able to engage in this virtual environment. It's okay. You can still be engaging. It's important for you to be able to talk and respond and co-sign or ask questions in the chat. If you have live instruction with your professor or your teacher, it's important for you to raise your hand. It's important for you to ask questions. It's important for you to say, hey, that was a great point. Man, I never thought about that before. If you're stuck in a breakout room and you have to be able to communicate with someone else, don't ghost your partner. Turn your screen on, smile, and engage. Actually have a good conversation. So make sure that you are engaged, right? I want you to really dig deep. That whole distraction-free thing, that's what it means to be engaged, right? You want to focus on what's happening in the moment. You want to put your cell phone away, unless that's the medium that you're using, but you don't want to TikTok at the same time you're trying to do algebra. It just doesn't work. So make sure that you are engaged, right? So you want to be in the chat, you want to ask questions, you want to make sure you have your camera on. It's something about having your camera on Because yeah, it's cool when you can see them, but when you know they can see you too, it changes the way you act and changes the way you behave. Here's another way to be engaged. Here's kind of a pro tip, right? I want you to please, please, please do yourself a favor and get up and get dressed, right? Get up, get out of your bed. Do not study in your bed. Do not learn in your bed. I want you to get up, wash your face, brush your teeth, put on some fly clothes. First day of school, put on the first day of school outfit, right? Like, I want you to be fresh. I want you to get into the mind frame that you are actually going to school. The only difference is that you're going through this virtual medium, right? So make sure that you are engaged both visually and mentally, and then sometimes even physically by the way that you dress. That's number 2, stay engaged. Now, number 3, communicate. I need you to open your mouth, people. I want you to communicate early, and I want you to communicate often. Now, this is not just a virtual tip. This works in person as well. But it's different when you're online because in person, your teacher gets to kind of see how you act amongst your peers. They get to fill you out. You get to fill them out. You guys really get a chance to get a sense of each other's personality and how that works. Well, in virtual avenues and in virtual channels, you don't always get to do that, right? You don't always get to have that filling out period. So you have to take the initiative to introduce yourself, right? You want to introduce yourself to your teacher or your professor. You want to tell them the things that you're interested in. Tell them how you learn. Tell them the things that you struggle with typically in this subject. Tell them what your interests are, who you be with, things to make you smile, whatever. I got a song for everything. But you really do want to take the initiative to introduce yourself to your teacher. That allows them to get to see a little bit more about who you are as a person. So when you go and ask for some assistance later on during the semester, and trust me, you'll ask for some assistance, they'll know who you are and they'll know how you like to be taught and how you like to communicate. Also, you want to make sure that you ask questions. Like, even if you don't have a question, ask a question. Because sometimes the question you ask can just be about solidifying your knowledge, right? Did I understand this correct? Because you don't always have that immediate feedback, that head nod that the teacher can see to know that you guys are on the same page. So it's okay to shoot your teacher an email and just say, hey, I wanted to make sure that I understood this lesson that we got today. Because you want to confirm that you know, what you think you know, because you need to know it, you know? So number 3 is make sure that you communicate. Now, number 4 is important. And you gotta jump around. Hey, jump around. Jump up, big it down. Jump around, jump. Okay, all right. Number 4 is move around. You are gonna be sitting down so much more in this virtual environment than you do in person. We don't even realize it, right? When you're on campus, when you're in school, you're in class, you teach, you get up, you go drop something in the trash, you go sharpen your pencil, you go to the teacher's desk. Then when it's done, you gotta move in the hallway, you gotta move and shake to get from one place to another. Then you got gym and PE, you know, you hooping, you balling, you got your sports and all that stuff. You got lunch where you up, you talking to your people. All of that kind of goes out the door when you're doing the virtual environment. You don't have as many opportunities to reset your brain and your body to get focused for that next class. So you have to be intentional about it. I want you to make sure you move around. Like, for real, get up, stretch your arms, relax your jaw, let that tension out. Smile. Take a deep breath. Shoulders back, chest out. Step away from your screen for just a moment in between classes so you can really give your eyes a rest, so you can reset your brain, so it allows your body to get the blood pumping again. That reset and that refocus, even if it's for a small moment, it works wonders in resetting your brain, giving you that quick boost of energy so now you can be right back engaged for whatever your next class is or whatever your next assignment is in your virtual environment. So rule number 4 is move around. Right now, look, so far you got 4 great tips that you have to do either before you get in the virtual environment or while you're in the virtual environment. Like, these are 4 things you just got to know, right? We got to create our space. We got to communicate. We got to stay engaged. We got to move around. But this fifth one hit different, right? It hit different when you are in the virtual environment. The fifth one, and arguably the most important thing you have to do in any virtual learning environment, is master the technology. Look, my job as a speaker is to make sure that people know that leadership is a verb, right? It's not about what you say, but it's really about what you do. It's about the impact that you make on your campus, in your community, and then for your future and your career. I want you to be the best you that you can be. In order for you to do that in your virtual environment, you have to master the tech. What is your school or campus using? Is it Blackboard? Is it Schoology? Is it Google Classroom? Is it WebEx? Is it Zoom? Are they doing FaceTime? What are they doing? Is it Slack? Are they using Microsoft Teams? You need to understand exactly the technology that they're going to be using in that virtual environment, and you need to become comfortable with it to where you know how to navigate. You want to know how to turn your screen on, how to mute your mic, how to make sure those things are done. So you don't want to have one of those whoa moments, right? One of the moments where you're like, oh, my bad, my mic is on. Oh, so you heard my mom yelling at me? Oh, well, erase that. That's not how it works. You want to know how to share your screen. You want to know how to add an attachment to an email. So whether it's the basic things like that, or whether it's more complicated things like, how do I switch my camera? How do I know how to press record? How do I use Flipgrid to be able to upload a project? All of those things you want to become comfortable with, because the more you master the technology, the less of a barrier it is for your performance. Don't let technology stop you from being the dopest version of yourself. Don't let the tech be an excuse for why you can't excel in a virtual classroom. Take some time before school starts, whether it's early in the morning or afterwards, whether it's before classes begin, and actually work in the space, the virtual space you're going to be using. Now, most campuses and districts, they have like a playground or an example of what you'll be using. If they don't, find out what they use and reach out to me. Like, I'm not the techiest person in the world, but I know someone that is. So if I don't know how to do it, I'll connect you with an expert that does. But make sure you master the tech. Now, we talked about 5 things that you have to do when you're in that virtual environment. Create your space, make sure you stay engaged, communicate, move around, and master the tech. If you do these 5 things in a virtual environment, you'll be a pro before you know it. Put forth the effort, go to work, and make sure you know that this time is your time. Look, if you need something, holla at your boy. I hope to see you this year, either virtually or in person. Until then, be safe, cover your face, wash your hands, and remember, leadership is a verb. We'll see you later.